All right, guys, this edition of Kris's Corner is going to be dealing with Impact 426, Monday Night Impact.
All right, we're gonna start off the conversation with talk about AJ Styles taking some heat last night from the fans.
Yeah, last night Hogan came out to pronounce RVD as his new champion for his whole celebration thing, as if last Monday wasn't enough. The confetti kind of pronounces RVD as the greatest wrestler ever, or was that Jeff Hardy?
That was Hogan that did that.
Yeah, Hogan
Hulk
says
Hogan was hyping up all the TNA guys.
called Jeff Hardy the greatest wrestler of all time.
Called Styles the Great One. When Styles entered, he got chanted with the ex-world champ from the crowd. Shows that he's really flourishing as a heel as far as getting the heat.
Yeah, which I thought would be a little bit difficult because he had such a following on Impact that I thought him turning heel, there'd still be some guys liking him, but
what do you think about the match quality since he's been heel?
I think that's a good point. His offense has changed as a heel. He's more like a coward kind of heel, which I don't really think. I think that his offense as a face is a lot better because he kind of gets the comeback roles. He gets beat down and comes back. As a heel, him on the offense is kind of like not as believable as him, getting his butt handed to him for the whole match.
And I think he's acting a little too much like Flair.
Yeah,
took on too many of Flair traits. He's losing his own character.
The little Nate. I'm not a fan of the little Nate.
All right, well, that's enough about Styles. Let's move on to Samoa Joe.
Yeah, Samoa Joe's big impact after he came back. He just came out pretty much after the Kazarian and Shannon Moore match and just attacked Kaz pretty much. So I guess Joe's going back into the X division. To not right back into the main event, but into the X division instead. Which,
it's good to build him up with after being out for a while, and the whole ninja story, which they forgot about, which was silly.
Yeah, but I think Samoa Joe needs to be in the main event. He's one of their biggest talents, and
he will.
Hopefully, he doesn't stick around in the X division too long.
I like the importance of the X division though in TNA. It's like a secondary belt, but it doesn't get pushed to the side like the Intercontinental in the US does in WWE.
Yeah, it's definitely not a secondary belt. It's kind of like more like SmackDown and Raw titles kind of thing.
All right, moving on. We're going to talk about Neil and Moore. Jesse Neal and Shannon Moore.
Oh yeah, it was Shannon Moore's title shot versus Kaz, and Matt Morgan interfered in the match and messed up Shannon Moore when he was on the top rope. So Kaz ended up sneaking out the victory, and then Neal came out for the save on Moore. So it was kind of Jesse Neal with the huge mohawk and Shannon Moore with the huge mohawk. And they kind of look like a decent tag team, so maybe they'll start tagging in the future. TNA's really got those tag teams that look alike, that real actual tag teams. So maybe they'll.
Yeah, they look like they'd work good together. They got the same look about them.
Yeah, they're all tagged.
I've never really seen Jesse Neal wrestle that much. He doesn't really get that much time.
Yeah, he's not really that good, but Shannon Moore's pretty exciting. So maybe that tag team can be like Jesse Neal as the enforcer and Shannon Moore as the extreme guy. So that looks to be brewing.
So moving on to Matt Morgan, he was a big part of that.
Yeah, Matt Morgan, if you've been watching Impact, is doing his whole. He's the tag champs, but he doesn't have a tag partner. He took out Hernandez a couple of weeks back, and Hernandez has been on the shelf, so he's been carrying around both the belts and referring to himself as we. We need a new tag team partner. He's kind of like both people. It's a little funny. I think Morgan really he kind of had his whole main event push thing versus Angle at Bound for Glory, and now he's kind of falling into the mid-Carter secondary thing, doing this silly tag team thing.
He's running out of guys in the locker room to be partners with.
Yeah, that'd
be interesting to see who he gets next week.
Yeah, Hernandez is definitely going to come back soon, and that'll be a nice Hernandez-Morgan rivalry.
Yeah,
that could create some big matches. There's two big men. For big men, they have good matches. I'm not really a fan of the big guys. They normally don't have much wrestling skill, but Matt Morgan's pretty decent, and Hernandez moves like a small guy.
So Matt Morgan, Hernandez rivalry. Definitely. Here's another one brewing. Pope and Anderson, another nice rivalry that's brewing.
Yeah, Pope came out to sell with his arm in a sling and an eye patch, so he was all injured up, and pretty much told the fans that just because he gets knocked down, he's going to come back up, and he'll eventually, be back in the scene or whatever. But then Anderson came out to make fun of him pretty much. Anderson's really good on mic, but I didn't really understand much of what he was saying. He was a little incoherent. He started doing the chicken bak bak things.
Yeah, he started saying random words.
He was just saying random things.
Lemon slice or
Lemon
something.
slicer. He was doing some real weird stuff. But that, and then Pope said his pimp hand was strong. Gave him a backhand.
Nice backhand.
Pope, and then Anderson beat him down. So we'll see that rivalry. At Sacrifice, I think they're actually going to probably Anderson challenge him at Sacrifice. So we'll see if that happens.
Then there were some other matches. We had Reign defend her title, the Knockouts Championship, and a triple threat versus Love and Tara.
Tara actually might have turned heel in that match sort of a little bit. After the match, Love and Tara were brawling, and Tara was like, "Stop, I'm sorry. And then Love turned around.
Yeah, she kicked her.
And Tara came from behind and hit her in the back, so I guess maybe that's her turning heel. I wouldn't mind that. Tara's kind of got the evil look anyway, so.
We had the tag team match was looked like it could have been good, but then they ended it right before Jeff Hardy was about to go off the ladder into the table.
Oh yeah, they had Hardy and Jeff Jarrett teaming up against Sting and AJ. Pretty decent match. They brought all over the arena up to the backstage. They had Hardy on like an 18-foot ladder off the stage, and they had Styles down on the table, and then somewhere else in the arena up on the stairs. Sting pinned Jarrett. The match ended, so the ref kind of covered Styles, so Hardy couldn't do his. I guess he was going for a swanton or whatever, so moved him. So we didn't get to see that. So they kind of teased that a little bit.
Maybe something we see later on.
That could be a good match later on.
Then we had the Morgan Neal versus Team 3-Day. Morgan and Neal teaming up.
Yeah, that didn't happen.
It got interfered by the band because of what Team 3D did to Six Pac in the back.
Oh yeah, Six Pac for no reason. Well, not for no reason, but got laid out through a table. Had a puddle of blood going through, from his head. So I guess that's setting up the whole. Oh, and
maybe they might be also getting rid of Six Pac.
Possibly, yeah,
because he doesn't really work well, and that might have been his way out.
And he no-showed. He no-showed
the
last pay-per-view.
So.
But Nash said that we're going to even it up, so possibly expect another old guy to come in.
An old WCW guy.
And join the band. All right. What else happened on Impact? Oh, the ranking system was finally delivered. They told us a couple weeks ago that they were going to be doing a ranking system to determine number one contenders and stuff like that. Pretty much not complicated.
What we thought it was going to be was a win-loss thing, like
something like that.
The new wrestling
Evolve, possibly like a win-loss, like Evolve.
But actually, it's the fans vote for the next challenger for the championship, which is actually a pretty good idea.
Okay, yeah. It's not really that complicated, and it's a little bit silly just to let. I don't know how they're going to handle it,
Well, I like it because it'll make it fresh. It's what the fans want to say.
Yeah, but are they just going to completely listen to that poll, or are they going to put their own input into it, you think?
I think they're going to have the match with the guy that wins, and then they're going to look to see who the other guys how the other percentages went to see how the fans are liking guys or not.
Yeah, it's a good indication.
It's a lot of stats you can get from that and see who's the fans want to see.
Yeah, right now, surprisingly, Desmond Wolfe. Not surprisingly to me,
because I find him a bit boring.
Nah.
I guess the fans like him. I don't know.
Definitely.
Or Kris voted 10,000 times.
I only voted 7,000 times. So.
Well, there you go.
And then it goes Wolf, Hardy, Anderson, Styles, Pope.
But it's really between Wolf and Hardy.
Angle, Terry, Sting, Jarrett, Abyss in that order. What's that? Over 90,000 votes already.
90,000 already.
It's getting some pretty nice votes. People are really logging on to go vote for that. So pretty much that was about it. All that happened for TNA. Not really a good TNA. If I had to rate it, I'd rate it somewhere around a 4.5. Not really that good. Last week's was definitely better. Last week's probably one of the best. This week's probably one of the worst.
TNA in general, we had one good match. Kazarian and Moore was kind of good, but then it got interfered with anyway. The Sting Styles could have been better, and the Flair and Abyss was horrendous.
Yeah. Oh, that's something we didn't talk about. Flair got in the ring to take on Abyss, and Flair should just not wrestle. Let's just put it that way and keep
got
it
out the old brass knucks.
Yeah,
they did
Flair.
the old reverse decision thing, restarted the match, and Abyss took it.
All right, guys, that does it for Chris's Corner Impact Review 426. Pretty much just all our Impact reviews are going to go pretty much just like that, just a rundown of what happened and what we think. We'll be doing a Raw one, also you can check that out. That'll include our draft recap. Also, if you want to email us with any wrestling related questions, Kris's Korner44@gmail.com. I'll put it down in the sidebar on YouTube. All right, that's it. See ya.